Most people will never know this, but a seismic shift is coming in global finance. In 2026, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa plan to launch a gold-backed currency designed to challenge the US dollar's century-long dominance. The headlines will frame it as progress, stability, and cooperation. They won't show you the implications. They won't tell you that this single move could redraw the balance of power between nations, crush dollar hegemony, and upend markets around the world. This is still happening today, and it is not speculation. It is already in motion. Most people will never know this, because the mainstream narrative hides the preparation behind press releases and conferences. They emphasize trade, diplomacy, and growth, never the strategic Central banks across BRICS have been quietly accumulating gold reserves at record rates. Russia, China, and India have increased their official holdings dramatically in the past decade. Most people will never know this, but these reserves are not for storage. They are the foundation of a new global currency system. This is still happening today, and the mechanisms are already being tested in small-scale settlements, bilateral trade agreements, and cross-border payments that bypass the dollar. The history of dollar dominance sets the stage. Bretton Woods, 1944. The US dollar became the world reserve currency. Nations pegged their currencies to it, creating a global system where American debt, spending, and monetary policy dictated the world. Most people will never know this, but this dominance has allowed the United States to run deficits, export inflation, and impose financial control without consequence. Nixon's abandonment of the gold standard in 1971 unleashed fiat money and made the dollar untethered, a privilege backed by force, diplomacy, and trust. This is still happening today, and the BRICS coalition intends to rewrite that story. China's rise is central. Since the early 2000s, Beijing has accumulated massive reserves, built the Belt and Road Initiative, and integrated trade networks across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Russia's energy exports to Europe and China give it leverage that wasn't available during the Cold War. India and Brazil provide scale in commodities. South Africa adds access to minerals and financial infrastructure. Most people will never know this, but these nations are coordinating quietly. They meet in BRICS summits, in closed doors, and through strategic financial committees, all preparing the launch of a currency that could bypass SWIFT, dollar accounts, and American leverage entirely. This is still happening today, and the plan has been decades in the making. Consider the undeniable facts. First, gold accumulation. Russia increased its holdings by over 2,300 tons. In less than a decade, China, though opaque, now reportedly holds over 20,000 tons. Second, central bank swaps. BRICS nations have signed agreements to allow direct lending in local currencies, bypassing the dollar. Third, commodity pricing. Discussions are underway to price oil, gas, and metals in the new currency. Fourth, digital infrastructure. China's digital yuan provides a model for programmable, auditable, and globally scalable transactions. Fifth, strategic alliances. Trade agreements within BRICS and with partners in Africa and the Middle East are laying the groundwork for adoption. Most people will never know this, but these are not isolated moves. They are coordinated, deliberate, and unavoidable steps toward currency independence. This is still happening today. The timing is precise. In 2025, reports emerged of joint financial frameworks and gold settlement trials. By early 2026, the BRICS nations plan to finalize the official launch, supported by a legal, technological, and geopolitical infrastructure built over years. Most people will never know this, but market analysts, when forced to study the trends, already anticipate volatility in US-based assets, bonds, stocks, and commodities could react violently to any signal of adoption. This is still happening today, and preparation is key for those who understand the implications. Look at the parallels in history. The USA dollar's rise crushed rivals and reshaped global politics. The introduction of the euro in 1999 challenged dollar dominance, but never fully displaced it. The BRICS strategy is different. It combines gold backing, strategic reserves, digital integration, and trade agreements with emerging economies to create a currency that is more than symbolic. It is enforceable, liquid, and independent. Most people will never know this, but the world may witness the first viable alternative to dollar supremacy. This is still happening today. By 2026, early adoption will begin in BRICS nations. China and Russia will test transactions for energy, raw materials, and interbank settlements. India and Brazil will follow with trade corridors and sovereign bonds. South Africa will provide commodity settlements and international connectivity. Most people will never know this, but these pilot programs are stress tests for a full launch that could happen within months. This is still happening today, and the dollar could begin losing reserve status incrementally, quietly, before the public even notices. The economic consequences are profound. A dollar decline means higher inflation for U.S. imports, increased borrowing costs, and diminished global influence. Financial institutions dependent on USD liquidity must adapt. Nations heavily reliant on dollar-denominated reserves may face pressure. Most people will never know this, but these shifts could trigger market turbulence, currency volatility, and capital flight. This is still happening today, and the effects may arrive faster than most expect. Who wins? The BRICS coalition, their central banks, and aligned financial institutions. Who loses? Dollar-dependent economies, U.S. debt holders, and the unprepared investor. Corporations tied to BRICS trade corridors may gain first-mover advantages. Ordinary citizens could see purchasing power fluctuate, inflation spike, or investment portfolios rebound. Most people will never know this, but the writing is on the wall. This is still happening today, and action or inaction will determine who benefits and who suffers. By the end of 2026, expect the BRICS currency to operate alongside the dollar in international trade. By 2027 to 2028, adoption will expand into Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. Digital implementations will increase efficiency and transparency. By 2029 to 2030, the currency could achieve true global relevance, potentially rivaling the dollar's reserve status for the first time in 80 years. Most people will never know this, but the geopolitical, financial, and strategic implications are immense. This is still happening today, and the window to understand and prepare is closing. The warning is clear. Track central bank communications, monitor gold reserves, and watch BRICS summits. Know that this is not speculation. It is a coordinated, strategic plan. Most people will never know this, but knowledge is the first defense. This is still happening today, and those who grasp the reality early will have options to protect wealth, investments, and financial autonomy. If this video woke you up, drop a like and subscribe. New forbidden truth every single day. Turn on notifications. Next one might save your wealth. Comment the one thing you're doing right now to prepare. I read every single one.